This is the 39th chapter, and it's called Monkey Face. And I hope this is insightful for you. It was 2004. I was 2 or 3 years old, probably. It doesn't happen so much now that I'm a middle-aged woman, but in the beginning, when I was a vibrant 20-something, people would ask me, "Don't you ever think about romance or sensual pleasures? Do you really want to be celibate forever?" In the beginning, the ecstasy of the spiritual experience was so overwhelming that it didn't leave space in my psyche for anything else. Hunger, fatigue, and discomfort slipped from my awareness. I ate when the bell rang for meals. I slept in the night because it was dark. We had no TVs or internet. Smartphones didn't exist yet. Pardon me. And I could meditate only for so long before slumber dragged my body into the bed. None of these was an internal call. I had no experience of hunger. Not in my stomach for food or for physical or sensual pleasures. Those internal biological mechanisms had been flooded into stillness by the waves of spiritual experience. The absence of physical desire, whether for bagels or for sex, lasted even after the initial ecstasy waned and my spiritual experiences became more internal and less as though I'd been swept up by an ecstatic tornado. Music's a little too loud, Share Sky Guardian. I can turn it down. The fulfillment that my new spiritual life provided, the deep inner connection I'd been gifted on the banks of Ganga, removed the longing to reach out and fill myself with either food or relationship. On the rare occasions when these urges did arise, as explained in the previous chapter, I learned to meditate and channel the energy upward. That was until a particular famous actor came to the ashram. On the second day of his visit, we sat in my office talking about my spiritual life and his movie career. Suddenly he said, "I'm very attracted to you." I froze. I was supposed to be a spiritual teacher, not a love interest. I carefully deflected the comment without blatantly ignoring it, and our conversation regained its former flow. Neither of us ever mentioned or hinted at it again. However, his comment, natural coming from a 30-something unmarried man to a 30-something unmarried, albeit celibate woman, was a match reigniting a fire that had long ago been extinguished. I couldn't stop thinking about him. He left Rishikesh the following morning, but our friendship continued, and each time we met I felt a surge of excitement. Romantic fantasies brewed in my mind. I found myself daydreaming about him in the midst of work. Finally, I told Swamiji, "I have a confession to make," I began, my face flushed and my eyes looking down at my fingers in my lap, as though the secret of how to share this confession lay in careful examination of my fingernails. He said nothing and waited for me to continue. I couldn't speak. "Yes," he finally prompted. I hated myself. How could I possibly admit this? What had I gotten myself into? Now he was waiting for me to speak, but of course there was nothing I could say. "Yes," he repeated a few minutes later, as though I had simply forgotten that I had come in with an announcement. "It's about, I'll call him Tom." Swamiji responded and picked up a file on his table. As if I was going to take all day to spit it out, he might as well pursue some of the papers on his desk. My face felt so hot, I thought it would melt off my skull and drip onto my lap. It was not from shame, but from embarrassment that I had to tell my guru about what I felt. Yet, in an odd way, it felt good. Giddy good. I giggled a bit as my face got redder. Swamiji looked up from his papers at my red face and into my eyes, which, despite all my willpower, I could not raise to meet his. "Oh no," he said, laughing. "Really? Come on." "I don't know what to do," I said, and refocused my deep concentration on my fingers fidgeting in my lap. "Do? There's nothing to do. Ignore it and it will go away. Work harder. Do your japa, your meditation practice, whenever the thought comes, and don't pay attention to it." But, I stammered, how to explain that I was enjoying the experience. Swamiji gently put down the paper on his desk and looked at me with loving pity, just as a mother explains to her child after they come home from the Arctic exhibit at the zoo that no, a polar bear cub would not be a good pet. Yes, it's cute. Yes, it's cuddly. But polar bears do not belong in suburban homes. In that same voice, he explained to me that, no, fantasies of Tom did not belong in your celibate life and could come to no good conclusion. One day, Swamiji began as he sat back in his chair, the great sage Narada was visited by a king and his daughter. The king asked Narada to look at his daughter's palm and bless her future, as the day of her Svayambara was approaching. On this day, she would choose her groom from among a castle full of eligible bachelors. Narada, a holy rishi, a brilliant spiritual guru, and the author of the Bhakti Sutras, took the young girl's hand in his. However, rather than reading her palm, he became intoxicated by its softness. He could see only his own yearning in the delicate lines running along her pink silky skin. As he raised his eyes and beheld the princess's beauty, Narada was transfixed. Quickly regaining his composure before the king noticed, Narada told the king that his daughter was the embodiment of goddess Lakshmi, and that no one less than Hari, Lord Vishnu, would be her groom. The king was thrilled to receive the sage's blessing and requested that Narada grace the Swayambara with his presence. Narada agreed, planning not just to grace the event, but to be the one chosen by the princess. Narada knew that he had the wisdom and greatness to marry the princess, but not the beauty. So he rushed to Lord Vishnu and begged him, "O Lord, please bestow upon me thy glorious face of Hari, the effulgent face of the divine." Lord Vishnu, knowing all that transpired, told him, "Tathastu." And so it is. Narada strutted into the Swayambara, ecstatic in his confidence that the beautiful princess's hand would be his, for he now had the face of Hari, the glorious divine Lord. As the princess walked up and down the rows and aisles, surveying one potential groom after another, Narada waited patiently, knowing that the moment she came upon his divine greatness, both in wisdom and in beauty, she would put the flower garland upon his head, symbolizing her selection. However, when she came to Narada, she looked at him and with a slight smile on her lips, continued to the next man in line. Narada was incensed. How was it possible? He stormed out of the castle and found a river in which to behold his reflection. As soon as he knelt down at the river, he understood. Lord Vishnu had given him the face of a monkey. One of the meanings of the word Hari in Sanskrit is monkey. Lord Vishnu had fulfilled his promise to Narada. He had given the sage the face of Hari. Lord Vishnu knew that Narada was not meant to run off with the princess and live in a castle. He was a great, unparalleled sage and rishi who was needed for humanity. Narada was meant to write the Bhakti Sutras, a unique and sacred treatise on devotion. His life was not fated to be running after sensual pleasures with a beautiful woman. So, when asked for the face of Hari, Vishnu gave him a face that would teach him a lesson, a face that would make him face himself and understand who he really is and what he is meant to do and to be, not a face that would win the princess's hand. Sanjay, do you understand? Pujya Swamiji asked me after concluding the story. You are not meant for that life either. You are meant for something deeper, for something more. To run off with Tom is not your dharma. Okay, I ceded, but I probably didn't sound as convinced as he would have liked. If you continue this nonsense, he said, I will give you a monkey face. Now go. And so we conclude the end of this chapter. Monkey face. Thank you for listening. Narada is a great sage indeed. You know, there are levels to being a sage. Narada is definitely up there. One of the terms for a great sage is a rishi. R-S-H-I, a rishi. And it literally means one who is capable of seeing. They possess sight. A seer is a rishi. It is said that all revelations, all spiritual revelations ultimately come from the rishis, the seers of the truth. Narada was no ordinary rishi either. He was a deva rishi. He was a seer that revealed truth not to humanity, but to the divine itself. It is said that there are various steps in the transmission of divine knowledge. It is first revealed from the source directly to divine beings, and then from divine beings subsequently to humans. Narada was the intermediary between the source and the divine beings. As such, he is known as Deva Rishi. And so even Deva Rishi Narada felt the feeling of infatuation come over him. So I am grateful for that story and for our dear author in sharing how natural it is for these urges to come, even if you are a great sage or celibate. But something can be done of them, as she described last time. This energy can either be released, it can be repressed, or it can be transformed. Release is fine, but it always returns. Repression is not a good option because it too will return, and with such intensity that you just might explode like a volcano. But to transform that energy is the secret alternative, and the true path of celibacy is not in repression, but in transmuting, transforming, alchemizing that energy into something higher. Thank you for listening. We'll continue our reading next time.